This is every way to kill your friend in Minecraft. Cobwebs and TNT make for good traps separately, but when we put them together, they get even better. Simply place down some TNT with pressure plates on top of them, and then cover it all up with cobwebs. Then just set up your trap like this, and the whole thing will fall straight down whenever someone opens up the chest. And that way, we not only get a simple way to deal with them, but we also get front row seats to seeing them light up like a fireworks show. Most of us only use end crystals to respawn the Ender Dragon, and while there are some pros that might even know to use these crystals in PvP, you don't even have to use it in PvP to use it as a way to prank your friends. See, by placing one of these inside of your house, you give your friend one choice. Either they're gonna leave it floating in their base forever, or get rid of it, which involves blowing it up. But if making end crystals is a bit too expensive for you, then why not try this one with a creeper? See, by trapping a creeper inside the roof of your friend's base with a trap door, you guarantee that when they go and flip open the mysterious trap door, they're bound to get a sneaky surprise dropping on them and blowing up. And that's not the last thing we're gonna do to mess with your friend's base. Since why not go through the carpets and add some magma blocks right underneath? Thankfully, magma blocks don't give off any kind of particle effect. And since they're able to hit us through these transparent blocks of carpets, it'll still cause damage to the player every time that they walk over it, causing a completely invisible trap for your friend to get hit by. Check out this completely normal lectern, except that it isn't a normal lectern at all, because if you didn't know, lecterns actually emit a redstone signal when you open them with a comparator out the back. And what's more, the strength of that output is actually based on how many pages you turn through the book. So if your friend's the kind of person to not judge a book by its cover and search through the pages, then you can hook up a lectern to some TNT minecarts, and that'll give them a good reason for not snooping around in anyone else's stuff. Here's a way to kill your friends so fast they won't even know how you managed to do it. Since while we're able to add specialized protection to our armor, nothing can help you out when it comes to entity cramming. Regardless of what armor they're wearing, they're gonna take a ton of damage every time that they're inside of this. Proving that no matter how good your netherite armor is, it'll never beat just a couple of things of iron. If you're being chased by your friends, maybe because you killed them in this video, just place a bunch of end crystals behind a corner like this, and then you wait for them to follow you around the corner, and right when they do, that'll be the end of them. If you got a skeleton spawner on hand, then you're missing out by not setting up this trap. Simply press a button, and we'll turn all of these trapped skeletons into an automatic turret. And at that point, they're really gonna see the meaning of why this is a hostile mob. So unless your friend's the star of an action movie, they're not gonna be able to make it out of those bullets in time. The point of this trap isn't to kill your friend, but rather do something even worse. And what's worse than death? Well, being stuck there forever might just be. See, because of the mining speed of Honeycomb Block, there's no tool that's able to instantly break it out. And then when you've set up a machine like this, it's pushing around the pieces of honeycomb so that every time that they're trying to break it, it'll just move away before they're able to get unstuck. And at that point, whoever's unlucky enough to get stuck in this will be sure to never make it out alive. Or dead, for that matter. This trap will instantly kill literally everything that's in the same room with it. Just set up some water like this with soul sand underneath, and then shoot a bunch of arrows of your choice into it. And then by loading the middle with TNT minecarts, you can just detonate the minecarts in the middle, and that'll do the trick. But if you want something a little less involved, then why not just try cheating your way through it? I mean, if you got access to commands, then the easiest solution's always going to be the /kill command. But that is also boring, so if you want a more interesting option, you could always use a command block that's set up to a repeating style, and then tuck that away at some part of the world where it kills any nearby player that gets to it. Alright, picture this scenario. You're stuck on the wrong side of a bridge with seemingly nowhere to go. Just place down some TNT. Then you can ignite it with a flint and steel and flick it towards your enemies using a fishing rod. Next time you're in a dripstone cave, make sure to pick up some of this stuff. But just setting some dripstone on the roof right above the entrance of your base, and then waiting for your friend to walk in, the dripstone falls directly onto their face. You also have to take into account the time that it takes for the dripstone to fall down to them. If you time it off, it's a dead giveaway. The crossbow in Minecraft's more dangerous than you could possibly ever imagine. By just enchanting the crossbow and loading in some mega powerful fireworks like this, then we're able to deal almost half a player's health points in one single hit. And this gets even more dangerous if you were to load up 3 different crossbows ahead of time, and then have them on your hotbar next to each other. In the recent years of Minecraft PvP, one of the most deadly enchantments that you can have is the piercing enchantment. Since with this, we're able to still do damage through shields. But then if you take that piercing weapon and fill it up with tipped arrows, you can either do additional damage with instant damage arrows, or add in instant poison to pack that extra punch. Alright, have you ever found yourself in a situation like this? You managed to sneak yourself in on top of some of your unsuspecting friends, but now you need the right trick to get rid of them. All you gotta do is drop a TNT minecart on top of them. You don't even need to ignite it. It goes off instantly, and it actually does more damage than a regular TNT. When you drop an anvil, it turns into an entity, and that little bit of code is how we're able to make one of the most dangerous weapons in the game. Since if you were to drop the anvil into a bubble elevator, then all the time that it's spent falling inside of that bubble stream, the code will think that the anvil's been falling this entire time, making it extremely deadly. So then, even if it's not falling from the maximum height that you can drop an anvil from, it'll act like it is. Now, we've talked about ways to hide traps, but this one goes even further with that. Since here, the way that you trigger the trap is just a skulk sensor that listens in for the player. And if you waterlog that skulk sensor, they can't even hear that. And don't worry, with the massive amount of stacked up TNT minecarts we're using, this trap will blow up everything near it. Here's how to trap your friend forever inside of the void. See, if you break the bedrock that's at the bottom of the world like this, then the shulker mob will be able to fall into the void, but it'll still linger there. Even using ender pearls, there's still no way to reach up to the top. And since that shulker is a mob and not a block, they're never going to be able to place other blocks on top of it, leaving only one option. They're trapped there forever with their new friends, or they take a long walk off a short cliff. Now, this next one sounds pretty simple, but it's really tough to pull off. And that's because wardens do not make for very well played actors.
Come on, he's out, he's free!
Now first, you're going to want to name tag it, since a named warden will never crawl back into the floor when it loses its focus. And then if you use nether portals or a bubble elevator to trap them inside of the base,
I got it!
then when they enter, they'll likely have their guard down. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's your own home. Only to find right there in the living room they've got a warden. And now you might as well call it the dying room, since that's one of the hardest mobs in the game to kill. Squatter's rights, I guess. Here's how to make an entire dimension off limits to your friends. Since by just lighting off a bunch of TNT and then sending it through the end portal, it'll only detonate when someone causes to go through on the other side, since those chunks aren't loaded until someone else goes through and loads it in. And by sending enough of these through, they'll end up on the other side, and end up on the other side, metaphorically speaking. Nobody likes the water particles that just drip out of your roof and your base. They're likely gonna check it out, only to find that we had spent the time to place a whole bunch of pufferfish inside of buckets, and dump them right into a bomb that lives right up in their roof. So then when they go to check out their roof, an entire plethora of pufferfish just fall out of the ceiling, and the whole room will be stabbing and poisoning them as they try to figure out what's happening. This is one of the most stupidly simple traps in the entire game, and because of that, it's gonna make your friends feel like idiots when they fall for it. See, most players don't actually check where a bubble column leads to. They just assume that it's a shortcut into another place to your base. But what if instead of a shortcut, their life was getting cut short? Since we have our bubble elevator empty them out right into a thing of lava. And what's even better about it is that because the bubble column is constantly pushing them up, they're not able to swim down into safety. All they can do is just take the damage until they're dead. Let's be honest, a horde of zombies like this really isn't a threat to a fully geared up player. Which is why for this trap to work, you're gonna spend all of your diamonds gearing these zombies up to the roof. Because the sneaky thing is that zombies actually do more damage with our weapons than we can at sometimes. Meaning that this privately funded army is gonna do a lot of damage. The respawn anchor is supposed to be a big help in the nether, but here, it's gonna be a big pain. See, since anyone can add glowstone to a nether respawn anchor, just place a piston like this, keep attracting it every time that your friend spawns, and as long as you keep the respawn anchor fully reloaded, you'll be able to keep dropping your friend to their doom over and over again, and they'll have no way of busting out of that violent cycle. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video, so see if they're right and have a good one, alright?